When a foreign guy is looking for a Filipina to be in a relationship with, he's aware of the many love scams going on in the Philippines, or at least he should be. Most of these love scams are rather easy to spot quickly, as they become rather obvious to those that choose to pay enough attention. But there's one Filipina love scam that's been going on for many years that's not really talked about all that often, which can be rather hard to detect, and you may not realise it until it's too late. Right here in this video, I'll tell you what this particular Filipina love scam is and what you can do to avoid being sucked into being another one of her victims. So buckle up tight and be sure to stay with me here. Now at the outset, I want to point out that when I talk about Filipina love scammers, I'm not placing all Filipinas in the one basket. In fact, I do believe that the vast majority of Filipinas are decent and genuine women. But the fact remains, there are a high number of love scams going on in the Philippines that foreign guys need to be aware of in order to avoid such scams. And that's what my videos on this topic are about. Having the knowledge and awareness so you don't lose out financially or emotionally. With the vast majority of Filipina love scams, they'll be playing a numbers game in order to get money from you rather quickly. Simply, those women won't want to be wasting their time on a man who's not going to give them anything in return. They may stick at it for a few weeks and they may tell you many heart-wrenching stories that they hope will make you feel compelled to offer money. But to those Filipinas, time is money. And they know if you won't come to the party and start sending her money, then there are many other guys online who will. She just needs to find them. So if you're not giving her money, then you'll become less of a focus to her as she searches for a man who'll be happy to start sending money on a regular basis. But for some Filipinas, they may be far more patient and in it for the big bucks. Yes, indeed. Some know the fears that foreign guys have around being scammed by a Filipina, and so they play what is commonly termed as the long game in order to get a larger payoff from you. You can be sure that these women are married and have kids, and the husband most likely is in on the scam, and in fact, in many instances, he's the one driving her to do this. This is what I refer to as the Filipino couple scam, which, as I say, can be rather hard to detect because she may act very normal for a few months without getting any payoff at all. She knows that if she pushes too hard for money from the start, or even gives you those heart-wrenching stories, that you'll run, and she'll never see you again. So she gambles on the fact that in the end, if you trust her and even fall in love with her, then not only will she get a good monthly income from you, but she may very possibly increase her lifestyle and net worth drastically. Her hope will be that as you fall in love with this woman, you'll start planning a life together, which of course involves buying land, building a house, and creating a small business of some kind. But of course, you can be very sure that you're not the only one she's playing this long game with. Have you ever spoken to a Filipina who may have let her guard down at some point, who says she may own a house or two, but may be renting them out, and you wonder to yourself how she could ever have got the money to own these houses when she doesn't have a job that pays more than a few hundred pesos a day? Now yes, she could have inherited that house, but right there is the first sign for you to check out that she could have acquired this house or houses from a foreign guy who fell in love with her and trusted her enough to buy or build that house. You can be sure right here that the Filipina and her husband have created their own business doing this very thing, and they'll work extremely hard at it because they know the potential payoff is more than they could earn in their lifetime. And you can also be sure that the Filipina and her husband will do whatever it takes to ensure you believe that she's in love with you and the relationship is real. Most of these women will have a profile of the type of man that will be more of a softer target to achieve her outcome, and that is an elderly gentleman who may be widowed or recently divorced who is rather lonely. Once the Filipina starts to get to know him and she starts working her magic on him, she'll up her game, so to speak, more gradually than the typical love scammer. Over the months, she'll declare her love for him and start to move the relationship towards a more sexual nature. She'll start to show you more of herself on camera and tell you how much she can't wait to start her life together with you. And by this time, many older, lonely foreign guys will be hooked. And of course they believe every word she's saying. Now it's very natural that after several months of falling in love with a Filipina, many guys want to make her life easier, and so they start sending a regular amount of money each month. This, of course, over more time, may lead to her ultimate payoff I spoke about earlier, with land, a house and a business. Some of the more careful guys may say they won't send or give her anything until they meet her in person, and these Filipinas and their husbands are all too aware of this, and so they have a plan. If the foreign guy decides to hop on a flight and go and be with his sweetheart for a few weeks in the Philippines, then no problems at all. The husband will get his Filipina to go away with the foreign man for that period of time in order to completely build his trust and confidence in her and the relationship. They'll travel around together as most new couples do, and yes, she'll give him all of her in order to get that big payoff in the end. In fact, some of these guys may want to see where she lives, and she'll have no problem in taking the man to where she actually lives and introduce her husband to the foreigner as her brother and her kids as her nephews, nieces or cousins. They really can be this brazen, especially if they know that you don't understand their language at all. So a tip here is to learn a good amount of a local dialect secretly, so you may be able to understand some of what she's saying to her so-called brother. In the end, the foreign guy may leave the Philippines and return home none the wiser. And so that's where he starts sending more money and buying those big ticket items. I've even heard stories of men sending money to his girlfriend to buy land and to build a house, which she did do, and she had no problems in showing him pictures or videos of the build all the way to the end. He then decides to go back to the Philippines to see their new house, and when he arrived, he finds the whole family living there, and she may tell him that the relationship is now over. It only then dawns on the guy for the very first time that he was scammed all along. Now, I've given you a few tips throughout this video that you can do to help protect yourself from such a love scam, but the best tip I'll give you is never buy land, a house or a business for your Filipina until you guys have been happily married for several years. Even if you're giving her a small amount of money each month, that will pale into comparison of what you stand to lose if you buy those big ticket items any sooner. And if she is part of a couple scam and looking to get a house and land from you, then over time you'll notice she'll be putting more pressure on you to make that happen. So my final tip here is to be very clear with her that land and a house won't come until the two of you have been married for some years. And if she isn't happy about this, then you can bet something is more off than a bucket of dried fish in the sun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.